Hey, what's up? This is Chosen, and this video is going to be a champion guide for Soulbond Bowyer, so let's get into it. Alrighty, so first of all, let's go ahead, pop into the index here, and pull up Soulbond Bowyer. We're going to go into the Barbarians, slide on down to the Rares. On the right side, the Spirit Attack champion right here is Soulbond Bowyer. Now, as always, you know the drill by now. Down in the video description, I will have a link to one of these little infographics that shows you everything you need to know in terms of having everything in one nice little snapshot. The grades, the stats, and the masteries I'm currently using on mine. But we'll dive into the details of all of this, but that is down in the description if you want to pull that up and take a look at your own time there. Okay, so a lot going on here aesthetically. Lots of different things on the champion and colors and golden and red and we got an eagle on the shoulder here, like a very crazy character aesthetically. I can't decide if I like it or don't like it, but definitely interesting, we'll say that. A base speed of 96, pretty good for a rare champion. We've got an A1 that is AoE. We always like that. Lots of good utility there. Has an additional 25% chance of placing a critical hit. Now, this type of ability is good if it synergizes across the whole kit, because then we get a universal crit chance and we can really build our crit damage up because we're able to build around that. So important to note that the cool thing about her is it does synergize. We can see additional crit chance, additional crit chance, and additional crit chance. So very cool. And when it synergizes across the whole kit like that, we're able to benefit by going like crit damage gloves instead of crit chance, and we can really have her hit pretty hard and scale very well with crit. So we've got an A2 that is attack one enemy with again the extra crit, and then we'll ignore 75% of the target's defense. So that's going to be a very hard hitting ability. Ignoring defense is always good. It scales better the later you get in the game, and as defense goes up, these abilities scale even better. Ignoring defense is very good in the game, similar to you know, debuffs that lower defense, abilities that ignore defense, very good. And then yeah, so it is a single target on a 3-turn cooldown, but it's going to hit very hard, and we're able to scale it with crit. Then we've got the A3 here as attack one enemy again with the extra chance to crit, but this one has a chance to fully deplete the target's turn meter. So it's kind of like Cold Art's Heartseeker. It's not going to hit quite as hard, but you can get it to a 4-turn cooldown with a lot of books. It is 8, which is a lot. But if we do spend the books, it's going to be a 100% chance of depleting the turn meter. Now, worth noting, you do have to have good accuracy to get that to land. It's not a guaranteed proc. Then when that ability hits, it's going to roll the accuracy of the Soulbond Bowyer versus her opponent, and then if the accuracy is good enough, it'll proc this effect of lowering the turn meter. And no matter what your accuracy is, it's never going to be a 100% chance to land, but the higher your accuracy, you can get all the way up to like 98, 99% that this effect will happen every time she uses this ability. And then we've got the aura here, increase ally crit rate in all battles by 12%. Again, not an amazing aura, but I do like it when they design champions that synergize. So obviously she's built around extra chance to crit on all of her abilities. Then she gets an aura that's crit rate. Hey, it's better than not having an aura, and I like how her kit at least makes sense. She's a damage dealer, so then she's got the ignore defense and the scaling well with crit built in to hit hard. And then for a little bit of extra utility, she's got the AoE A1, which will make her pretty good with like the stun set in Faction Wars, and also the ability to deplete turn meter. So in my opinion, one of the best designed rare champions in the game. She's going to be really bad in some areas like the clan boss, and she's going to be really good in some areas like being a mid-game damage dealer for a lot of those like potion dungeons, arcane keep, you know, golem, dragon. Just going to be kind of a consistent damage dealer. You can also use her in the arena as like a sniper right here, hit one enemy pretty hard and lower their turn meter. But she's not like broken good, she's not ridiculous, but she's solid. She's just got a kit that makes sense, and for a early to mid game player, she can be a solid rare. So I think a very well designed champion that is going to be worth building for you to get some utility out of if you're an early to mid game player. Admittedly, she's probably not going to be like meta or end game in anything, but she can really help you for a few months as you're developing your account to have a Spirit Affinity, AoE, sniper, deplete turn meter, someone you can scale, get that crit chance higher. When you're a new player, it can be hard to get that crit chance up around 100%. So her having the extra crit will really benefit new players. So yeah, I think she's a rare that makes sense and has a niche in the game. So let's go ahead and pull up my Soulbond Bowyer here that I've got built. Kind of walk. Oh, no. Got to do the sparring pit, even if we're live. There we go. Okay, and let's pull up Soulbond here. Alrighty, so I'll kind of walk you through the gear here. If you want to see the total stats I have on mine, there we go. Attack 3,700, and then obviously we always want to get defense. It's kind of our next priority after the main stat. In this case, it is attack. So I got 1,800 defense. I would like to get that up to about 2K, but I got a couple pieces here, like my banner. I haven't taken a 16 or my shield. There's an artifact enhancement event coming like tonight. So I'm gonna wait to take those to 16 until the artifact upgrade event, because it just kind of makes sense to do so. But yeah, going back to the stats, I'd like to get her speed again up to like that 170 180 range, and once I get her pieces to 16, that might happen. Crit rate, you have to get to 75% on her, so I'm just a little bit high there, but you want to make sure this is at least 75, so she's critting every time on all of her abilities. And then we're able to get her crit damage very high. You can see here I'm over 200%. She's going to be able to scale very well, because you can kind of use crit damage gloves and squeeze in a little bit of extra crit damage because of the inherent crit rate bonus. Alright, so banner, you've got a couple different choices. You can go like accuracy or attack, basically. Remember, the only thing she needs accuracy for is this 75% chance of depleting the target's turn meter, and we can book that up to 100. I'll show you the booking process here in a second, but yeah, so you are gonna need accuracy for that. So I'd like to get her to 200 accuracy. When this banner is 16, she will be, so that's why I went that route. And then you want to get attack and defense besides that on your banner. We're gonna want crit damage on her amulet for sure. You know, she's a damage dealer who scales very well with crit and crit damage. So we're gonna get, you know, crit damage and then attack, accuracy, and you know, those sort of generally useful stats on these substats. The ring, again, you want your best blend of attack and defense. That's what we're going to go with. So this is a pretty good example of what you would want on her. You get that big 6-star attack roll on the main stat, and then you've got a nice little blend of attack and defense there on the secondaries. And then the top ones make a little bit more sense. Again, we're just looking for crit rate, crit damage. My phone's going off here. Speed, accuracy, kind of the usual suspects in terms of what we'd want. But I'll show you my gear in case you were curious. There is that. That's the top row. And in terms of the bottom row, again, you could go like attack percent boots. If you're able to get good enough like speed substats. She's one of the rare ones that you could. I do like to have good speed on her because she has that ability that decreases turn meters, so I'd like to have her go kind of early in the rotation and slam those turn meters down of the opponent, but that's kind of personal preference. I do recommend speed boots typically on her, and then attack chest typically, and definitely, if you're a more advanced player, you're going to want crit damage gloves on her, because it'll be easy for you to get to that 75% crit rate threshold if you're you know, trending towards the end game and have some pretty good gear. If you're a new player, you might want to go crit chance and get you up to that 75% crit rate, and then get the inherent bonuses bumping you up to 100. So now let's go ahead and go over the booking process here. Now, is she worth the book? She does take 16 books. She costs a lot of books, and obviously I'm a pretty end game player, so I've got just an alarming amount of rare books, so it really means nothing to me to spend the rare books. But I'd like to kind of show you guys the thought process on how it would be for you, you know, as somebody who it's very important to use your books efficiently. She's a tough one. That is a downside of her. 16 books is a lot, and I would say the most important thing is probably to get the cooldown here. That would be the most important thing, but that costs a lot. So off the bat, you can really use 6 books as the max we can do and kind of see what you get here. And I have just exceedingly horrible luck in videos on getting books to go where I want to go. It's actually kind of hilarious at this point. So you can see here, we're going for this ability. Out of the 6 books, we got 0 on that ability. So again, we would just have to go 6. And boom, okay, that one went a little bit better. I think it might have just maxed these out. Yeah, it just maxed those out. And then, you know, when you get to this point, you just want to go ahead and use these. So again, that's about the 4th or 5th consecutive video where it took the maximum amount of books and went as bad as it could have possibly gone. So that's kind of funny. But anyway, that would be the normal thought process behind booking her if you were curious about seeing that. And then in terms of masteries, I can go ahead and show you quick. Don't know how I backed out there, but okay, here's masteries. And a couple things worth noting here. The last row on support, you're not really getting anything out of. Master Hexer does nothing for her. Sniper, if you spend books on her, really does nothing for her. And, you know, this haste would be good if you use her as like a campaign farmer. Other than that, not really gonna get a whole lot of value out of it. So, and wouldn't get any value out of lasting gifts. So this last row doesn't really matter. So I just went ahead and got Sniper because I hadn't spent books on her yet, but really means nothing. And then this is kind of your standard offense and support route. Obviously, you're gonna want the little bit of accuracy you can get just to help that turn meter, you know, proc. And then go our standard route on offense to get down to crit damage on flawless execution. We're not gonna use her in the clan boss, so we don't need to get War Master or anything. We just want her to proc the. Remember, she scales very well with crit and crit damage, so I went with the crit damage here on her. But definitely just use my masteries as a template and build her how you see accordingly. Don't just blindly copy people's masteries. You want to be kind of building the champion how it makes sense for you on your account. So now it's back out, and she's actually a pretty good XP farmer. She's Spirit Affinity. You can run her up in 12-3 Brutal, and she'll do a pretty good job for you. Remember, she's got that aura, so you don't have to worry about that annoying pop-up every time. 60,000 on that one ability there. So she hits decently hard, and she'll be a very good campaign farmer in the, look at that, 11-second run. And that's pretty amazing, honestly. Anytime a rare gets under about 15 seconds on 12-3, you're looking at a pretty good you know, campaign farmer for your account. So she's very viable in that capacity if you summon her and want to invest in her as a Spirit Affinity champion. Now, one thing I do want to note, I did put her in Relentless set. Admittedly, she's not a great candidate for a Relentless set, so do take note of that. Take my gear with kind of a grain of salt here. I think if you're using her for like faction wars and stuff, you might want to put her in like a stun set or just kind of a more generic lifesteal plus speed type of setup. But I happen to have some good pieces of Relentless gear lying around that I wasn't using, so I thought I'd throw her on here, see how she does in Relentless for the video, and kind of test her by going that route. She's not that great with the Relentless set, so I wouldn't probably waste a Relentless set of yours on her. I would go a different route, kind of the lifesteal plus speed, or, you know, just general gearing with attack or divine offense, something like that. Crit damage is pretty good on her. That's all in that infographic down in the description if you want to pop a look at that. Now, you could use her in the arena as like a sniper. If you have good speed in your team, have her go first and use this Soulbond shot to pick out a target, hit them really hard, deplete their turn meter, and that would be a good route to go with. She's not going to be amazing in the arena, but you could use her to, again, this ability will hit pretty hard. She could be kind of like an arena sniper for you, or again, if you had her in the stun set and you have a good team with speed, you can stun the enemies or something with that AoE A1, but she'll be kind of a decent early to mid-game champion in the arena, not like amazing. In terms of dungeons where you would want to use her, again, like I kind of said earlier, she's going to really help you out in a lot of these kind of general potion dungeons, just to in the early to mid game to kind of get through the waves quickly. And Minotaur, she'll be fine there, just as kind of like an AoE clearer and damage dealer to help you kind of out. She can deplete the turn meter, which really helps on bosses in the potion keeps and the Minotaur. You can't affect the turn meter of the dragon, so she won't be good in that boss fight there. The Golem, she won't be like end game viable. The Golem and the Spider are kind of the same story. She'll be very good early to mid game maybe, but she's really gonna fall off in the end game in both the Golem and the Spider, because once we get to the end game, the Spider kind of transitions from an AoE damage dealing dungeon to kind of, you need to have a more specific setup, and obviously a lot of you out there get stuck on the Spider. It's the most common question I get is about the Spider, and it's because of how the dungeon kind of changes weirdly from an AoE dungeon to like a specialist dungeon. She won't be good in the Fire Knight, and that kind of breaks down her utility here in all the dungeons. So let's go ahead and grade her. I like to pull this up and review her kind of live. So crit rate plus offense, I've seen worse. Not the perfect recommendation, but not terrible. Ratings, Spider, a rare, Spirit Affinity, lots of AoE. She does decrease turn meter, which can be pretty good. I'll give her a 4. Yeah, okay. And then campaign, she's a 5. Like I showed you, she can be a very good campaign farmer. Arena offense, she's got utility, not amazing. Golem, I'll give her a 4. Force Keep, she does have abilities that inherently ignore defense, which is very good, so I'll give her a 4. And she does actually counter the affinity of the Force Keep, actually, so I'll give her a 5. Clan Boss, she's absolute garbage. I don't know how she's not a 1 there. Minotaur, she's fine. Give her a 5. Faction Wars, she'd be really good. She's got some options there in terms of stun set and lifesteal and different ways you can kind of use her. Arena Defense, again, she's kind of meh. Dragon, she's okay. Fire Knight, she's not going to be good. She does deplete turn meter. She's got a little bit of value, so I'll give her a 2. Magic Keep, she's countered by the affinity, so you're not going to want to use her there. Spirit Keep, 3. She doesn't bring any sort of like heal reduction or super utility, but she does decrease turn meter and hit kind of hard, so we'll give her that. And then she'd be fine in the Void Keep, so that kind of covers that. So all right, that's the live ratings. And just to kind of wrap up here, again, remember down in the video description, there will be that infographic if you want to pull that up and take a look on your own time. That'll be down there. And yeah, she's probably worth 6-starring and worth spending the books on for a lot of the early to mid-game players. I don't think she's like an account priority though, because she's not someone you can really take to the clan boss. So for most of you, it's going to be debatable, and you might want to focus on like your clan boss team first, but she's a pretty decently designed rare. She's got some utility. She can really help you in faction wars and be a damage carry for you, and in the early to mid game she can perform pretty well, but do be prepared, she may fall off a little bit in the end game and kind of lose a little bit of her utility after you've been playing for a few months. But you should get some value out of her if you're kind of an early to mid game player. She's definitely not a bad champion. She's in that kind of like top 10 to 15 range in terms of best rares in the game, somewhere in that 10 to 15 range. And you can also look at my full comprehensive champion tier list down in the video description that will show how she compares to a lot of other champions in the game. So yeah, as always, thank you for watching. Have a good rest of your day. Peace.